Hello, this is Eileen, the environmental educator, and in this video we're going to talk about something that was a headline today. The Guardian put it out, and this is a January 17th, 2024 article. That's what day this is when I'm recording this, and it was also put out by the Irish Times. And I searched for it. It wasn't put out many places. The Irish Times read it. Okay. This just has a picture. It doesn't really have anything outside of that. So, and then it also has this right here, ground news, but this doesn't really put out anything. It's just a few lines here. However, it does talk about the AMOC, which we're going to talk about here, because it says that, Greenland has lost more than 20% than previously estimated, with over 1,000 gigatons of ice lost over the past 4 decades, which no one really knows exactly how much that means, but right now, they're saying that Greenland is losing 30 tons of ice an hour. So that's that would be million tons of ice an hour. So that's what kind of puts it in respect and perspective. But it says that this may have implications for collapse of globally important North Atlantic Ocean currents. And I went over this in a video a little bit ago. And right here, this is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And they say, what is the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation, the AMOC? Well, they say that it's a system of ocean currents that circulates within the Atlantic Ocean, bringing warm water north and cold water south. So right here, there's a picture of it. The hot water goes up, from the equator up to the poles. They state that it is, especially the Gulf Stream, because that's really warm water coming out of here. And then from the poles, like the water sinks up at the poles. Okay, and then it goes down to the bottom of the ocean, and it travels around the bottom of the ocean before it resurfaces. And there's this whole circulation system. I showed it in a different video, but this helps regulate Earth's temperature. Okay, this is why the poles aren't colder and the equator isn't hotter, and areas in the middle are temperate, because this and the wind bring the warmth from the tropics north and the cold from the poles south. So it definitely helps regulate Earth's temperature. And this Guardian article says that some scientists are concerned that this additional source of fresh water pouring into the North Atlantic might mean a collapse of the ocean currents, called the AMOC, is being close to being triggered, with severe consequences for humanity, because if this system doesn't work, there will be catastrophic weather changes everywhere. And no one can predict exactly what that will be. But this circulation has been relied on for a very, very, very long time. And it is why, we have the stable climates in all of the different areas that we have today. And without this, yes, as it says here, severe consequences for humanity. And right here, they're not talking about those consequences being ocean level rise, which you hear about all the time. Okay. But, right here, Dr. Chad Green of NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, he said that the changes around Greenland are tremendous, and they're happening everywhere. Almost every glacier has retreated over the past few decades. Okay, some would argue with that. Glacier just took down signs, Glacier National Park. where they predicted a decade ago that glaciers would be gone by now, and the glaciers are still there. So the park staff went out and took those signs down. Okay, I've seen that reported places. But it says right here, it makes sense that if you dump fresh water onto the North Atlantic Ocean, then you certainly get a weakening of the AMOC, though I don't have an intuition for how much of a weakening. So, right, no one can tell you really what the consequences are going to be. And right here, a little further down, it says, the scientists said there is some concern that any small source of fresh water may serve as a tipping point that could trigger a full-scale collapse of the AMOC, disrupting global weather patterns, ecosystems, and global food security. Okay, so yeah, if we don't have a stable climate, you're not going to be growing the food that you're accustomed to growing in your area and other areas either. And so it is going to destabilize things. And then it continues right here. Yet fresh water from the glacial retreat of Greenland is not included in oceanographic models at present. So it says the influx of less dense fresh water into the seas slows the usual process of heavier salt water sinking in the polar region and driving the AMOC. So that's, when I talked about this before, right. So that, as they talked about there, that heavier salty water sinks in the polar region. And that is what they call the engine of ocean circulation, that driving the ocean pump, I think they call it. It just constantly keeps moving all the rest of the water forward. And if that water isn't sinking, then the ocean circulation system isn't going to be moving. And right here in this article from NOAA, they say that the AMOC, this circulation brings warmth to various parts of the globe and also carries nutrients necessary to sustain ocean life. It says the circulation process begins as warm water near the surface moves towards the poles, such as the Gulf Stream and the North Atlantic, where it cools and forms sea ice. As this ice forms, salt is left behind in the ocean water. Due to the large amount of salt in the water, it becomes denser, sinks down, and is carried southwards into the depths below. Eventually, the water gets pulled back up towards the surface and warms up in a process called upwelling, completing the cycle. And it says here that the entire circulation cycle of the AMOC, the global conveyor belt, is quite slow. It takes an estimated 1,000 years for a parcel, defined there as any given cubic meter of water, to complete its journey along the belt. Even though this whole process is slow on its own, there is some evidence that the AMOC is slowing down further. NOAA funds research to better understand this potential slowing, as well as to investigate the AMOC's role in coastal sea level changes and its relationship to extreme events. And here they say, is it slowing down? It says, as our climate continues to change, there is the possibility that the AMOC will slow down or come to a is there the possibility the AMOC will slow down or come to a complete stop? It says, while research shows it is weakening over the past century, whether or not it will continue to slow or stop circulating completely remains uncertain. If the AMOC does continue to slow down, however, it could have far-reaching climate impacts. For example, if the planet continues to warm, fresh water from melting ice at the poles would shift the rain belt in South America and causing drought for millions of people. It could cause sea level rise across the East Coast. It could cause any one of a number of destabilizing problems. Okay, and the last thing we need right now is more problems. So right now, this is going on. even though it's only covered by The Guardian, even NOAA, gives it some credence that they do say that it's been slowing down. Or actually, they say there is some evidence that the AMOC is slowing down. Okay, but the thing is you don't want to be Mickey Mousing around with this. And yet here we are. Okay, so this could be detrimental, people, and nobody's talking about it. And nobody talks about ocean circulation. Sea level rise, sure. And then you see everybody put out pictures where, pictures from the 1900s and pictures from today, and it looks exactly the same along a seawall or at the base of the Statue of Liberty, But people don't understand the very fine balance that Earth operates on, just like your body. Earth is its own living entity, just like your body is its own living entity. So don't forget that, people, and stay tuned.